Welcome, sentient beings from all known universes and beyond. It's time to activate your cranial downlinks and prepare to receive a raft of discussion on a cosmic ocean of science fiction and fantasy topics, interviews with local area genre devotees, and insightful prognostication by our soothsayers of science fiction, our forecasters of fantasy, and any other beings that happen to get caught in our gravity well. This is the Galactic Driftwood Podcast.
Well, I forgot to close the door to the kitchen, and the whole time the Galactic Driftwood theme is playing, Bird is upstairs whistling along with it. So awesome. If you hear her still going while the show goes, that's Bird. But anyway, hello and welcome to another episode of Galactic Driftwood Podcast. I'm Bill.
I'm Linda.
And I'm Chris.
And we've got kind of a short cast today. I think the other two characters are off celebrating Valentine's Day in some meaningful fashion, which is good for them. Actually, Linda and I, after the show, we're going to a steampunk Valentine's Day social where I'll be running a tea dueling competition. Have you ever heard of that, Chris?
I have not.
Yeah, so essentially you get these special biscuits and you dip them into a hot cup of tea, and then you pull them up and you hold them like this, and whoever waits the longest before eating their cookie without it falling apart in their hand wins. So it's sort of a
interesting.
It's a tasty type of duel. So we'll see how that goes today. It should be fun, though.
Nice.
Yeah, but for all of you joining us today, we thought we would talk about some of the science fiction and fantasy and horror trailers that for shows that are coming out this year. And so I think the first one we're going to start with is Dune Part 2, which I'm really looking forward to. How about you, Chris?
This is probably the most one I'm interested to see this year. So I'm a big Dune fan. Back from the OG, some would call crappy films, to actually having read a couple of the books, to seeing this kind of reimagined. So I'm a huge fan.
Yeah. How about you, Belinda?
Looking forward to it. The first one was amazing, so I just can't wait to see what's going to happen next.
All right, well, let's check out the trailer for Part 2. Here we go.
It's okay. I'm here. It's been a while since you've had one of those nightmares. Tell me, what was it about?
It's only fragments. Nothing's clear. You've been fighting the Harkonnens for decades.
Look!
My family's been fighting them for centuries.
Your blood comes from dukes and great houses. Here, we're equal. What we do for the benefit of all.
Well, I'd very much like to be equal to you.
Maybe I'll show you the way.
Deal with this prophet. Send assassins.
Fade Rother, he's psychotic.
I see possible futures all at once. And in so many futures, our enemies prevail. But I do see a way. There is a narrow way through. Is to you. Do you believe me?
This is a form of power that our world has not yet seen. The ultimate power.
I want you to you as long as I breathe.
You will never lose me as long as you stay who you are.
Consider what you're about to do, Paul Atreides.
This prophecy is how they enslave us! You are not prepared for what is to come.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Well, that looks pretty epic, I'd say.
It does, yeah. And
Is that mom at the end going, "You're not prepared for what is to come"? Thanks, mom.
no, it's the
Sounds like-
it is the mom that says you're not prepared for what's to come.
Yeah, it doesn't sound
Um,
good.
Yeah. So in this one, for those of you, if you have or don't recall from the first film, some of you may have been surprised you get to the end and it wasn't, you're like, where's the rest of the movie? It only covers a portion of the Dune book. And so this one continues that story because it does take place over not a ton of time, but maybe a handful of years there, as Paul becomes one of the I don't want to call
Freeman.
them sand people. Yeah, the Freeman.
Yeah.
And becomes a part of their customs and everything like that, but then also starts to take his leadership role in leading this war against the Harkonnen. So it's pretty cool. You get to see him come into his powers a little bit. If you read any of the other books, you start to understand that, what you saw in the first film doesn't even come close to how powerful he becomes ultimately. So it should be good. It should be exciting. There wasn't a ton of getting into the mysteries of the sandworms and everything like that in the first one. So this next film should start to cover a lot of that. So I'm super, super excited to get into it.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just thinking, as I'm watching that, how hard it would be to come from a lush water world that Paul Atreides came from, and then to go into this completely desert climate where you have to wear these still suits to recapture just the very moisture from your body in order to survive would be quite a culture shock, I would think. And
it would be.
Yeah, and then not just to try to assimilate into that culture there, but actually to become one of the leaders would be pretty amazing. I remember I read the series, I think back when I was in high school, as I recall. And so, a lot. I enjoy watching it because I remember just enough that I kind of know where the story's going, but it's great to see it so fleshed out now, and the way they realize the world, I think is just amazing. They've done such a great job with it. I was watching on YouTube some of the behind the scenes where they were making some of the sets and things, and how they wanted everything on the Dune world, all the structures to be super massive, thick, heavy stone buildings, in order to protect them from the terrible heat and everything. And just an amazing job, I think, of that.
I do like when he tells the high priestess or whatever, shut up.
Yeah, well, yeah. And so if you hear it, if you're watching a raw stream with high quality, there's actually a lot of bass that goes into that, and he kind of shakes the room, because he is fully engulfed in his power at this point.
Yeah,
His voice is commanding. He can force people to do things. He could break spines with his voice, kind of thing, and he doesn't need the wielding modules or whatever to help with that enhancement. So, like I said, it gets very exciting because you get to understand who he really is. And the first film just kind of alludes that he's supposed to fulfill some kind of prophecy and he's some kind of special person. And in this one, you get to see why. It'll be awesome.
Yeah. I think I'll have to watch the first one again right before.
Definitely.
So the question here for everyone is: are you going to go see it in the movie theater when it comes out, or are you going to wait for it to come out on streaming?
Movie theater.
Yeah. I hear you.
Twice, probably. if I'm really excited about it, I will go to the theater and you know it's I don't go as much as I used to, which I think a lot of people say that nowadays. But if people didn't know that about me, I used to go almost religiously, like constantly, especially if I was really big into the movie. I would go see it several times in the theater, and on my birthdays, I would actually take the whole day off, and I would marathon movies all day in the theater. So you'll find me there from open to close, and I would just see movies back to back to back.
That's awesome. I love it.
That's always been a thing with me. It's been my favorite thing since I was a kid. So
That's awesome.
For me, I'm definitely it's going to be a theater route.
Theater, yeah,
sure.
Great. Yeah. Maybe we'll have to arrange a Galactic Driftwood theater excursion for that one.
I'm in. Sold.
Sounds good. All right. So the next trailer we're going to watch is for a show coming out called A Quiet Place Day One. So it sounds like maybe this is takes place before the original.
Yeah, it's a prequel for
right?
A Quiet Place. Yep.
All right, let's check this out. Yeah. As I'm watching that and I see the opening and their sign language and eating quietly there, and then it cuts to the modern day world, I'm thinking, the afterworld doesn't seem that bad right now. When I hear the sirens and the horn honks and the screaming, and I'm like, maybe the monsters aren't so bad.
Yeah. And so this is the third film in the series, but it's not a sequel like 1 and 2 were. Right. So in this one, we're going to take a step back because the way that A Quiet Place works is in that timeline, we've been invaded, or some kind of creatures come up out of nowhere, and they're attracted to sound, and so they obliterate everything in their way, and so that kind of covers film 1 and film 2. In search of, how do you, if we need to travel somewhere to get to a safe place, how do we do so, and doing so quietly? And that's kind of the horror of those films, is when those creatures do hear you and they come and attack. This film goes back to, how did we even get here? Right? They don't really cover that in the first 2 films. It's just you're put into this world and everybody's quiet, and the mystery is like, why, right? This one's going to unravel that mystery and about the creatures, how they came to the planet, and everything like that. So
it seems to me that you'd be able to easily design a system to attract the creatures, sort of like the thumpers in Dune attract the soundworms or the sandworms. You could attract these creatures and then use it to, maybe detonate a bomb and get rid of them.
Like a bug zapper, right? Just to
right.
And you know what, Bill? You're not wrong, but we're too stupid. Just as a society, we just can't seem to figure this stuff out. We've already written the books and films on what you should do in those scenarios, and The reality is we're going to get invaded. We're going to be like, we don't know what to do about it. And it's like,
Right.
well,
Right.
they're trying to sound, so make a thing that does a thing. And
Yeah. You think you could just build like a big electrical grid, a floor, right? Make it like the size of a football field, and then in the center of the football field, you put these giant sirens or clackers or something, whatever makes noise that attracts them the best. And then if they run onto that grid, it fries them.
Yeah, there you go. Love it. Love it.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, if we ever get caught in that, Chris, we know the three of us are going to have to team up.
Yeah, we've got it handled. People are worried about AI. I'm worried about us not doing the right thing during an alien invasion. Let's focus on the real problems here.
Right. Okay, now this next one is called Knuckles, and I haven't seen the trailer. I have no idea what this is about. So let's see what we're in for.
Sonic the Hedgehog movie.
Oh, all right, here we go.
You're an alien. You're super powerful. You recently saved the world with your friends. What do you like to do for fun?
Vengeance.
I was thinking more like reading or yoga.
Hey, buddy. Isn't it great to finally relax?
I am an Echidna warrior. I only remain on Earth because I made a vow to you and the Fox. So I made myself at home.
Nope, we are not turning our living room into some kind of gladiator fighting pit. What is Ozzy doing here?
He will be challenging his greatest enemy.
Is that our mailman?
This is not a place of battle, so I will begin my quest. Come, Wade.
Well, most people think I'm a joke.
I do not make jokes. I make warriors.
Let's go get him.
Knuckles. Without his little friends, he's vulnerable. He's the key to my newest creation.
You worked for Robotnik's.
Bring me Knuckles.
Sorry, this lane is reserved.
You think you can take my power? Do I look like I need your power?
What are you talking about? Of course we need his power. It's the whole reason we're here.
You're mine.
I made a promise to protect this planet. I am ready.
Oh, snap! Someone's about to get slapped.
I think today is going to be a beautiful day.
Knuckles, help me!
You gonna rescue him?
No, he must learn to rescue himself.
Well, that looks comical.
Yeah, so the thing about the Sonic movies is, you either grew up playing the video games or you didn't or whatever, but when they came out with these films, they're actually way funnier than I would have given them credit for. And this preview kind of alludes to that they're continuing along with that. So while they're not doing a movie for this one, they're doing a little bit of a 6-episode miniseries. It does look like it would be very entertaining and very good. So they found a way to kind of continue on with some of the storyline there and do some interesting things. So
it looks hilarious.
Yeah, they're pretty funny. Jim Carrey plays the main villain in one of the prior ones. It's kind of the mad scientist guy, and it's all pretty good. So it's very good.
Looks like it'll be a fun little streaming event to latch on to.
Yeah.
And I see it's streaming on Paramount, which interestingly is possibly for sale. I don't know if you knew that, Chris.
Yeah, it came up briefly before we were kind of talking about it, I think, and I still don't know how that's all going to unfold. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens with some of these shows, if anything at all, with that.
Yeah, so it looks like as of a day or two ago, Paramount shares were flat in trading on possible news of the sale. down 2 cents to $12.99 a share. The stock has slipped nearly 10% since the start of the year based on this. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see who buys it. And of course, that's hugely consequential because they own the Star Trek franchise. Yep. So, be interesting to see where that goes. It initially Paramount had said that they were going to be the home for all things Star Trek going forward, right?
Until they're not.
What's that?
Until they're not.
Yeah, well, I mean, they were, but then all of a sudden, I think towards the end of last year, they decided that they were going to go back to leasing out the Star Trek movies. So right now, you can only watch a lot of the Star Trek movies on HBO Max. So a subscription to Paramount isn't going to get you necessarily all things Star Trek.
For the home of Star Trek, it's not really the home. And to your point, it felt really good when they initially announced that, because it was like, wow, I'm going to be able to get all my Star Trek in like one place. And then now it's like, well, now that's no longer true. So I don't know where they benefit from that. I get where they get paid from HBO to license that out, but you would also be alienating subscribers to a degree.
You would think,
force them to go elsewhere to get their Star Trek content, when like that was I'd be curious to know of Paramount's branding, right? How big is Star Trek as far as a chunk of that? If it's even 10 or 15%, that's not something you ignore. Like, I don't know what it is for them. So
especially in the streaming end of it, right? That's not even talking about the merchandising part, which is a whole nother piece. But I don't know. I guess I'm kind of stuck because I want to keep access to Star Trek, to the series, because I mean, I think we watch that, Linda, more than we watch anything else. I mean,
absolutely.
During the day, if we just want something on in the background while we're, surfing or working on the computer, well, a lot of times I'll just start a next gen episode and let it run in the background or something. Fortunately, we already had HBO Max, so I mean, we're able to get the movies now as well. But it sort of makes you consider the calculation of, well, would I at some point cancel HBO Max and maybe subscribe to Apple TV, for example, for something. So, I don't know. It's doesn't make me happy, but I guess it depends on who ends up buying Paramount, and maybe HBO might buy them, and then you'd have everything back together again, unless they decided to franchise or to license some of the content out. So I don't know, kind of frustrating in a way, but all right.
We'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so next we have Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. So let's see what this is. Before we start this, though, let me ask this question. The new Planet of the Apes movies that are out versus the original Planet of the Apes, the classics with Charlton Heston and such. What's your opinion, Chris and Linda?
I grew up more with the latter than the originals. So
okay.
The original Planet of the Apes, while I did like them, for me, when I was old enough to appreciate movies more, that's when I got, the first kind of garbage one was the Mark Wahlberg one. And then, that was kind of a wash. And I was like, all right, maybe it's not worth it. We'll stick to the oldies, right? And then, they came out with the new, I'll just call it saga, Planet of the Apes, and tried to be more real towards what that story should have been, not what Mark Wahlberg butchering of it was. So I have an appreciation for the new, only because it I like what they did with the visuals, the cinematics of it. It's just a lot more engaging for me, but so for me, I lean towards the latter, not the former, but that's also because when I was kind of first introduced to it, it was on the more modern movies.
Gotcha.
And my first take on it was the Mark Wahlberg garbage. So
right.
Sorry, Mark. I love you as an actor, honestly, but that movie was garbage.
Fair. Linda, what's your thoughts?
I probably for the same reasons I grew up with the older movies, right? So I liked all the nuances and the old way they told the story. Yeah, I mean it wasn't the greatest special effects, and you had to get past the rubber faces that didn't move much. But I thought the storyline was. I really liked the originals. Now, I didn't get to see the Mark Wahlberg, so I think I'll just leave that off my list. Based on
the Wahlberg was an attempt at a reboot or just a remake of the first one. But what I liked about because to give you some clarification, it was like 60s and 70s. I think the original. So I was born in 1985, so I'm a youngin', right? So for me coming across those films, it was like I can't even remember what station they were playing on at the time, and it wasn't like TNT, it was something else. But I never even got the order right. They'd be playing like film 4, and then film 1 or whatever. So I was all over the place on Planet of the Apes, but I knew it when I saw it, right?
Sure.
And so when early 2000s when the Mark Wahlberg one came out, and then a few years later after that, they scrapped it and went back to the original, 5 or 6 films. I forget, however, maybe even more than that. They did a complete reboot of it, and I appreciated that 1000%. And I'm sure if I was born or was watching around 60s, 70s or whenever those started, I'd have more of appreciation for those. I'd probably actually appreciate the more modern ones even more. But now you're kind of making me want to go back and watch the old ones.
I know. I love the new ones, and I also have a certain nostalgia appreciation for the old ones as well. It's, to use an analogy for me, it's kind of like original Star Trek versus Strange New Worlds, right?
Okay.
I love them both. I think they both have their place, and they both appeal to a different part of my love of Star Trek. So so I like the originals. They'll always be classics, and there's certain lines in the originals that will stick with me, forever. But I love the new ones too. And Lynn and I have a friend of ours, Richie, who we worked with for years. He was the security officer at the building where we worked, and I think Planet of the Apes is his favorite series of all time. But the last movie I think he watched in the theaters was like Gone with the Wind. So I don't know that for sure, but I mean, he doesn't.
It's been a minute.
He doesn't go to movies. So if it's not on, and he doesn't do much streaming. So if it's not on the major news networks, he probably hasn't seen it. So all he ever talks about is the original Planet of the Apes and quotes them constantly to me. So it's kind of funny because whenever Lynn and I go to a cosplay event, if it's a general pop culture type of convention, and we see somebody there dressed as Planet of the Apes, I'll always snap a picture, especially if it's the original Planet of the Apes. I'll always snap a picture and send it to him. Say, look at you're missing.
Love it.
Kind of a thing. So we might have to see if you can get him hooked on the new Planet of the Apes. He was also a big original series Star Trek fan. So we've now got him hooked on Strange New Worlds. So we have him and his wife over every month or so just to sit down and stream a couple episodes of Strange New Worlds. And he's really liking it. So
love it.
I think he might be good for the new Planet of the Apes.
Well, I guess, the only thing I don't like about the modern one, before we jump into the trailer, is that they have been doing this reboot for over a decade now.
Yeah.
They are not moving quickly on it. And I think for what the output of those films are, I don't know why it takes so long.
Right.
It's not like they have to reinvent the wheel for every new episode they come out. They already got all the material and everything. They're just changing the storyline, render some graphics, but you've already got a good solid base to work on. So I don't understand why there's 3 years between some, 5 years and others, and 3 or 4 again. And it does seem to be taking its time, because I thought the originals were kind of like back to back to back, it wasn't like it wasn't even over like 10 years they did all the originals.
Right.
And this is like, we're a decade in and we're still trying to pump these out. And I don't know what the driving factor is, why it takes so long, but that would be my only gripe, right? Is that there's so much time in between, they're forgettable.
Right.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah. No, I would definitely agree with that. All right, well, let's jump in and see what this one looks like.
When I sleep, I see strange things.
Memories?
Not memories. New things. I see everything.
That is not everything.
Well, that looks pretty good too.
Yeah. But I need a refresher now. It's been a few years.
I know,
I
right?
need to go back and be like, wait, what all has happened?
Right.
Since the time of Caesar and all the others. And
yeah, definitely.
Where am I in this timeline?
I know, right? Yeah, because like you said, they're spaced so far apart that you forget what happened in the last one. So, you know what? It makes me really glad that I'm retired now, because now I have time to watch
all the time in the world.
Watch them before the new one comes out. So, yeah,
man,
that'll give me some stuff to do. So, nice. Yeah, no, that looks really, really epic. So, and as I was watching the very last clip there with the ape saying "what a beautiful day" kind of a thing, I was just shocked with how real that all was. How oh my God, it's just
no more rubber faces.
Oh yeah.
Well, and to that point, it does improve every time they get a new film.
Yeah.
I don't think it improved 3 or 4 years between the last film, but like in terms of what you call a real iteration, but it has gotten that good. And that's also why I kind of love it. And it's also kind of terrifying in the same way, right? It's like, wow, that could be a reality.
Yes,
it's that real.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. So something to think about. But yeah, I'm looking
forward to go to the zoo.
Memorial Day. What's that? Yeah, right. Yeah, they're probably sitting there. Gorillas are sitting there listening to people speak and
picking up on things.
Yeah. All right.
Taking notes.
Now this last one, I'm not as excited about.
The Godzilla versus Kong.
I'm kind of Godzilla and Kong'd out, and I don't even know. There's so many different directions that we're seeing studios go with this that I don't even know where we're at in the storyline anymore. Like, is this part of the Monarch saga? Is this like what is this part of? Right. Is this a standalone?
Well, and I think there's two separate Godzilla franchise tracks, I think, because I think Japan's still doing their own, and then the US has been licensed to do their own, I think is how that works. So I will say that Godzilla -1, that is freaking amazing.
We talked about that.
We did. Yeah.
So if you're curious about that, we had a conversation. Go check out our prior podcast, because we that was awesome, and I can't wait for that to come out on streaming, because I do want to see that again.
So, well, let's take a look at Godzilla versus Kong, the New Empire, and see what we think of that.
For most of human civilization, we believed that life could only exist on the surface of our planet. What else were we wrong about?
Welcome to my world. Won't you come on in?
This world has more secrets than we could possibly imagine.
Miracles I get. Still happen now and then.
What is that?
That's not Kong. What could have done this?
Kong can't stop this on his own.
He won't be alone.
Welcome to my world.
Is that a mini Kong?
I mean, they still make it look good.
They do. I'm not sure about the mini-me Kong, man.
Right?
Mini me.
So I was checking in on so this is part of the MonsterVerse saga that they have going on. They started back in 2014, and this will be the 5th film in that series. So, and they are pumping these out semi-regularly, like every 2 or 3 years. So Godzilla, Kong, Skull Island, which actually was one of my favorite ones. I loved Skull Island. I thought that was
yeah, I thought that was pretty good too.
Godzilla, King of the Monsters was pretty good. Godzilla vs. Kong got a little bit outrageous, but it was okay. And now we're at Godzilla and Kong, the New Empire, with some new threat that I guess they'll have to team up and deal with. So, these are okay. I'm just a little bit Konged out, right? Because we saw the Japanese art going, and they're putting out some great stuff, and it's hard to really, when we say like, hey, yeah, we should watch Godzilla, we need to stop and be like, okay, which one of the 30 to 40 films are we talking about?
I know, right? And I've got a certain nostalgia for the original Godzilla, which of course is what I grew up with, right? The Godzilla destroys Tokyo kind of thing, and so that's what in the recent Godzilla -1 movie I liked about is there were so many callbacks and references to the original Godzilla, not only the music and the types of scenes that we saw. There was a lot of
Mhm.
homage in there to the original stuff. So that's one of the reasons it was. I thought it was so good. But I mean, also the story was very good as well. But yeah. So the new ones, they're coming out kind of fast and furious, and there's like you say, it's kind of getting Kong to Godzilla out, I think. On the Kong and Godzilla stuff, but I don't know. I think I'll look forward to when it comes out. I don't know if I'll see it in the theater. I might wait for it on streaming, maybe.
Yeah, this one isn't one I'd go out of my way probably to see. Maybe if I got invited along with a group of friends, if we decided to do it as a group, sure. Check it out. But at this point, like when I go into them, I don't know where I'm placed at, right?
Yeah, right.
Which one is this again?
Yeah,
which is unfortunate because they can be good. It's just there's it's like to go on a tiny rant here before we wrap up. It's like having multiple Batman arcs out there, right? Multiple DC things going on. Like, well, which universe are you in? Well, I'm DC. No, which universe are you in? Like,
right.
I think we have a couple different Batman projects going on right now. Between Robert Pattinson and some other reboots. Superman is up in the air, and I don't know how you mess that up. It's Superman.
Right.
So we have all these when all these studios start going in other directions, it's not good in my opinion, and I'm actually pretty happy that I don't believe we really see that with Star Trek, at least when it was under Paramount. But now, to your point, Bill, like what's the future of it now that it can be licensed out? What are people going to run with it?
Well, and even then, you still have like the J.J. Abrams verse, right?
Yeah.
So
the Calvin timeline.
Yeah, the Kelvin timeline, right?
Yeah,
so I guess when you're in that, it's like, okay, well, are we in the Kelvin timeline because things are different there?
Yeah.
Right.
So we're in a weird place with these studios where they all want to just rehash the same story almost, but have their own spin on it. And sometimes they try to explain it away with these multiverses, right? And I don't want to see everything become a multiverse. I'm also multiversed out.
Right.
It makes it hard to win a bet.
It does. Yeah.
Right. Because I was talking this verse. Well, no, I'm talking this verse.
Right. And you can never get it under one umbrella. So either way, lots of good stuff to look forward. This is only like a tip of the iceberg. I mean, there's a lot out there.
Oh yeah.
We just covered this. It's been over 40 minutes, and that was just a handful.
Right.
So lots of good things to watch out there.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Be a fun spring. Well, starting March 1st, I guess, with the Dune. So and that'll be here before you know it. So let us know in the comments what you're looking forward to, what you're excited about seeing, and also whether you want to see it or you're content to wait for it to come out on streaming.
Yeah.
That's kind of interesting, a little interesting tidbit as well. So anyway, I think that'll do it for this episode. Chris, thanks for joining. And Linda, thank you for chiming in. And thank you all for watching. We will see you next time. Take care and have a good week.
Later.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Galactic Driftwood Podcast. For more information and past episodes, please visit our website at galacticdriftwood.space or subscribe to us on YouTube. And now, please deactivate your cranial downlinks, collect your towels, and be sure to watch your step as you exit our gravity well.